Hello, Covenant County. We've got a special segment of Good News in Covenant County coming to you from our offices up here on the scenic square of Andalusia, Alabama, on Blue Ribbon Day, a special day for the community anyway. And we've got what I think to be a very special guest. If you don't recognize him, I'll introduce him to you. His name is Dennis Meeks, and he's the incumbent sheriff of Covenant County. That means he's already in office for the uninformed. And we're up here to talk about a lot of things. This is not a political talk. We just want to, as a kind of a get-to-know-you talk with Sheriff Meeks for the community. Want him to talk about, his background, what he's proudest of what he's done, the things that he sees in the future for his office in Covenant County, and about himself, his activities when he's not arresting criminals, those kind of things. So I'm going to turn, I'm going to do most of the questioning, which is probably unusual for him. It's usually the light out of my face. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you, John.
I'm glad to. I've known him since I got here, and I think I knew him before I left. But Dennis, you're originally from here in Covenant County, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I was born and raised here in Covenant County. Went to Opp High School.
Right.
And graduated from Opp.
Good school.
It is.
Absolutely good school. Got some great people over there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Coach Robert Waller was a mentor of mine when I was in junior high school, and I think
He died about a year ago.
Yeah, but I can't think of Opp High School without thinking of Coach Waller, and
That's right.
there's about Johnny D and a lot of other folks over there that I've known over the years and loved.
Right.
When you got out of high school, where did you go? What did you do?
Well, like a lot of kids right out of high school, wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I just kind of worked around a little bit, and then wound up going to trade school, which at that time, it was called MacArthur.
Right.
Now, Lurleen B. Wallace has combined with it, and it's the MacArthur campus of Lurleen B. Wallace. I have worked in several different things as I was growing up. But then in 1993, went to work at the sheriff's office as a corrections officer when we were still in the old jail.
Right. Wow.
And so my career, has just it really evolved from that since 1993.
Well, I have a son that is about to go into med school. That went into the Army and then came as a medic and came out, went over here and took the surgical tech course at the MacArthur campus of LBW. And that was a life changer for him. He's done very little surgical tech work since then because he decided that he wanted to be a doctor, and that's now where's that's one. And I say that because I don't want people to underestimate the curriculum over there, because it ain't easy. And be the kind of people that it turns out. I'm pretty proud of my son. I'm pretty proud of you and the way you've turned out. LBW has done some great things for this community, and I think the consolidation of the two has been good.
That was a good move on their part.
So you started in the jail, and you kind of worked your way.
I did. Started in the jail, and then at that time, Sheriff Wilbur Mitchell was the sheriff.
I remember.
And he saw fit to send me to the police academy.
And that's up in Selma?
Well, actually, this one is the Southwest Alabama Police Academy out of Bay Minette.
Okay, yeah.
And it was out of Bay Minette at that time. So I come back, went on patrol, and at some point he promoted me then into investigations. I later moved to and operated as chief investigator for Sheriff Anthony Clark. But anyway, then in 2006, I was elected as sheriff for my first time.
Well, I'm sure opinions vary about what you've done, but my opinion for whatever it is it seems like you kept pretty, your nose pretty clean, and you worked.
Well,
pretty hard. What are you proudest that y'all have accomplished, Dennis?
Wow, I mean, over the last 12 years, I mean, you know, we've done so much. It's really hard to pinpoint, you know, really any one thing. I know when I first took office, there had been several problems, especially at the jail. So the first thing that we did, we went through the jail inside and out, and it took about 2 months to get the jail, for better use of the word, straightened back out.
Right.
We found several security concerns, and we addressed those immediately and got those taken care of. We had to upgrade the camera system, the entire security system of the jail. So that was a big undertaking. We hired more jail personnel, which, you know, you've got more officers, and that just makes it safer for the officers that are working there, because you've got more backup, you know, when something happens. I was in January and March of that year, in 07, because I actually took office in 2007. March of 07, we opened up what we call the work release dorm. That was a 40-bed, 48-bed facility, which really relieved a lot of the overcrowding for the males.
Right.
2016, we opened up a new female section. It's about a 38, 40-bed facility for the females. One of the big things that really helped us out when we opened up that new female dorm was in our old dorm. It had, for the females, it had 2 different blocks, you will.
Right.
And so what we did, we took one of those blocks and we're using that for our medical inmates. You know, if we have inmates that have major medical
if they've got a
needs,
major issue,
kind of infirmary type dorm. So instead of those guys being back in general population, we have them up front in that area. So it's easier to you know, kind of keep a check on them and get to them should something happen. The other section of that we're using for state inmates, because lots of times, you know, we take somebody to state prison, but they may be called back, you know, for some kind of hearing or something. Okay. So anytime a state inmate is brought back, then we put them in the state section. That way they're not put back in the general population.
Can we break for just a minute?
Sure.
And we've got to pay bills around here, unfortunately.
Okay.
Welcome back to Good News Covenant County with Sheriff Dennis Meeks. He's talking about the things that he's done in office, and a minute ago we were talking about the things that occur at the jail. I don't think people realize what a complicated issue that you have at jail. I mean, you've got male and female, then
right.
You've got medical issues,
right.
and you've got security issues, then you've got a work release program. I mean, you know, you're in the HR business too.
A lot goes on, and you know, people really just don't realize what the sheriff office entails.
Well, I went to visit with him to set up this interview about 8 or 10 days ago. He was the first guy I went to see, and he was sitting there trying to budget his trying to fix the budget on the meals for the jail. So I know it takes up a lot of his time, and he was telling me, just try hard as they can, they still lose money on the meals. And that's something people don't think about, is they just think, you know, well, bring them a peanut butter sandwich and a bag of potato chips and that's it. But that's not the way it works. Y'all have a standards you've got to meet, set by, I'm sure it's set by some type of code, but
yeah, well, you know, as far as feeding the inmates, you know, you have to feed them, you know, nutritious meals,
right.
Which we do. one of the things that I did that really kind of made it easier for us is I used the same menu that the state uses, and which is approved by a state dietitian.
Yeah.
So that just makes it easier for us. But you know, when you're talking about, you know, what they eat, I mean, you know, peas, corn, turnips, collards, carrots, chicken leg quarters,
Butter beans?
well, you know, different kinds
I
of
know, I'm
beans.
just kidding
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. But yeah, they do have very nutritious meals, and to be honest with you, I cannot remember the last time that I had a grievance form from an inmate in reference to the meals.
Well, that says a lot right there. I know the thing that I've been most impressed about, and I think some of it's just the times as they move forward, but you have seen over the introduction of a lot of technology in your office. I mean, you know, from a more unified radio system to, you know, software for the jails and for your own people.
Right.
And the use of now the body cams and all that kind of stuff. What have been your challenges as it's moved forward? Because law enforcement now is not like it was when you went in office
No.
12 years ago.
No, it's not. You know, for example, you know, our radio system. You know, we used to be on an analog system. You know, and you keyed up. It kind of depended as to what your range was,
Yeah,
as
what
to how much
clouds are like.
static you were going to get. And now we're on a digital system. Pros and cons. It's clear as a bell, no crackling, but you only have a certain range on it. You know, if you go into a dead spot, if it goes out, you don't have some of it. You know, I mean,
It's still an
you
FM signal.
either have
basically.
it or you don't.
Yeah.
But with the antennas that we have up, I mean, we get a real good coverage. I mean, we can go to Montgomery without losing service. We can go to Dothan without losing service. So
Wow.
it has a large range on it. Body cams, you know, all my officers now, you know, wear body cams. You know, that's not, you know, that's for their safety. You know, if somebody, you know, says that one of the officers, you know, did something that maybe he shouldn't, we say, okay, well, you know, but bring me your body cam.
Take a look at it.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. So, you know, it's a check and balance for both sides. Of course, you know, computers, software, you know, that's an ever-changing thing that, you know, we have to keep up with.
You've actually got PCs in your vehicles
Patrol
now.
vehicles,
Yeah.
we do, yeah. All of our vehicles, you know, are equipped now with laptop computers. So, you know, when they're in the field, you know, they can do their reports in the field. You know, they don't have to just come back to the office to have to sit down and do a report. They can do their reports there in the field. They can also run driver information, vehicle information. You know, if you know, we're dispatched out of the 911 center. So if they've got something going on at the 911 center where they're having to do some communications there, and he needs to run driver information or vehicle information, he can do that on his laptop right there, and he doesn't have to go to them to do it.
I was going to say, that makes me think of something. You know, you always worry about your tax dollars at work, and you know, folks, when you see one of these sheriff's cars sitting under a tree somewhere, he's probably not taking a snooze now. He's probably working on his report or checking information on somebody that just drove by or something like that. And of course, those laptops have a camera in them too. Have you been able to access and look back at the officer? Or is that something, I know a lot of them, you know, even this
yeah.
one's got a little camera in it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, our vehicles, you know, they're equipped with inside cameras.
Okay.
Also, you know, not all of our vehicles, but most of our vehicles are run. You know, they run radar. You know, and have the cameras. Also, we installed rear cameras that look into the back seat.
Right.
So you know, if they do arrest somebody and they're transporting them to the jail, you know, it kind of watches that inmate also.
This is kind of off the wall, but you've almost got to have a special electrical system for those vehicles. I know that they've taken a lot of the demand down with these, you know, LED light bars.
Right.
Doesn't take the power demand, but I'm sure you've got to have alternators in those vehicles that are about like that.
Well, you know, the patrol vehicles, they come equipped with you know, heavy duty alternators, and so it's, and like you say, with the LED lighting system, you know, that we have now, it draws very little electricity, so it doesn't pull on it, you know, like it used to back in the old days.
Right. Yeah, it was a big deal. So you know, you moved your technology for it now. Tell me about your background. I know you went to the southwestern Alabama Academy, but you know, when you get to be sheriff, and you got to take a lot of training along the way. I'm sure there are courses that you've had to take, certifications you've had to get. Can you give us a little bit of background on that? We may have to break in a second.
Okay.
But if we can start on that.
Yeah. You know, with all of our officers, you know, if you're certified, then you know, you're mandated 12 hours a year. But you know, I take
12 hours of training a year you have to take.
Correct, to keep your certification current. But you know, I go to training, you know, all the time. That's just like, you know, the Sheriff's Association. You know, we have 2 conferences a year, and we have training in each one of those conferences. And so, you know, that's probably, each one of those is probably 12 hours. But anytime anything else, you know, comes up, you know, some leadership courses, gosh, I don't know. I'd almost have to get my book out. I've got a book. It's like a 3-ring binder, you know, where I keep my stuff at. But yeah, it's, as sheriff, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of things that you have to go to, and a lot of it is just legal stuff.
Yeah, right.
You know, because you know the laws are constantly changing, so you have to keep up with those. You know, to pass on to your, you know, to your officers. So it's constant. It's constant.
Well, we're going to be back in just a minute talking with Sheriff Meeks. Thanks for watching, and hang on. Welcome back to Good News Covenant County. Our special guest today is Sheriff Dennis Meeks. And, on camera and off camera, we've been talking about sheriffing, being the sheriff here in Covenant County, and what he's. Dennis knows this. I had a college roommate. He's dead now, but it was Bryce Paul, that was the sheriff of Coffee County over there 24 years, and Bryce and I were really close. I lost a good friend when I lost him, but Bryce made me a lot more familiar with what these guys that are in law enforcement go through than a lot of people think they do. And one of the things I found that was interesting as we were talking today is that you're not a sheriff's department. You're a sheriff's office.
That's right.
Can you talk about that, and then maybe a little bit about the ongoing training for your deputies?
Sure. You know, a lot of people refer to the sheriff's office as, you know, in I guess it's just kind of natural to say sheriff's department, but actually we are a constitutional office. The sheriff is a constitutional officer for the state of Alabama.
Right.
So that's why the office is a constitutional office set by the state of Alabama.
Aren't you one of the 2 constitutional officers in the county, I believe? You and the probate judge are, I think. are constitutional
Yeah, yeah.
officers. Everything else is
There are actually,
Maybe the
and
voter.
it's set out, and forgive me for not knowing all of them. There are, I won't think that there's like 6 specific, offices
Right.
that are named, in the Constitution. And I wish I had that, because it actually, it specifies governor, lieutenant governor, this one, and a sheriff for each county.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
well then,
so,
yeah.
so we are set within that realm of constitutional officers.
And I don't think a lot of people realize or know that, and that's why, but that's set up with good reason constitutionally, in case you got a bad guy that's in a sheriff that allows a higher legal authority than just what's in the county to come in and audit or whatever they've got to do. I think that's for your protection and for the public's protection as well.
Right, absolutely, absolutely.
And your ongoing training for your officers, I know they don't just once a week go out and shoot their pistols to make sure they can hit a target. There's an awful lot more than that.
Yeah, yeah. As I said a while ago, each officer that's certified, you are mandated to receive a minimum of 12 hours of continuing training a year. But now I have a lot of guys that, they'll find a particular training that they would like to go to, and they come ask me, can I go to this? Well, absolutely, you can go to it, and, get yourself registered, and we'll take care of it. So I have officers that ask to go, and then we have schools that come up, and that we have here locally. It may be an op, it may be here at the training center in Andalusia, or could be Montgomery, Dothan. But even if it's out of state, I sent an investigator, two investigators, to a school up in Tennessee not long ago for training up there.
There's a big forensic school there at the University of Tennessee too.
Yeah, and sent. It's probably been 3 weeks ago. I had 3 officers went to training over in Georgia. So if they find good training and that they need and really and they want to go to, we never turn them down. If somebody comes in and wants to do training for us, I have never turned anybody down that wanted to come in and give us training. We'll take all the training that we can get.
Sure, and I think that's important. Why don't we take a break here in a minute and let our production people get caught up on some things, and then we want to come back on to you to talk about the concealed carry law and the new pistol permits that y'all have got, and then after that I want you to talk about where you see the future of law enforcement, particularly in the sheriff's office. And by the way, the most popular sheriff in the world, which is Andy Mayberry, was not a member of the sheriff's department. It was the sheriff's office. Look on the car.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll be back in just a second. Welcome back to Good News Covington County with our special guest, Sheriff Dennis Meeks. We were talking during the break again. We have all kinds of secrets during the break. During the break again, we were talking about something that a lot of people don't know, and is, well, being sheriffing is a big business. Being a sheriff, you've got budgets that you have to live within, and I think a lot of people think that your budget's just this one big thing, but that's not the way it works, is it, Sheriff Meeks?
No. Actually, we have to operate under 2 separate budgets. One budget is for the sheriff's office, and then one budget is for the jail.
And so you got one side mostly for enforcement, and the other side for personnel. One of the things that there was an article about in last week's paper, and wanted to talk with you about because it's a change, and I think a lot of people think that maybe wrongly so, this was a change that had something to do with this upcoming election, and that's the change in the way that the pistol permits concealed carry permits are handled in the state of Alabama. You know, you mind if I hold this up for a second?
No, that's fine, that's fine.
This is one of the new pistol permits. It's plastic. Now, when I first read the article, the Andalusia Star News said plastic pistol permits, and I thought that it meant only you had to have one of these if you had a plastic pistol. But that's not true. This is a really, really fine piece of paper that's waterproof. If you go fishing and you fall in with your wallet, it's not going to ruin it and that kind of stuff. Can you tell us about this, though?
Sure. You know, this, several months ago, the Alabama Sheriff's Association, we were together and we were in discussion about doing a pistol permit that was uniform throughout the state. It was the same type permit throughout the state. You know, it would look the same from county to county. It would just have the different county name
Sure.
on it. Now in the state, there were already half a dozen or so, maybe, counties that had already had the plastic permit. And so theirs probably won't change. They'll probably stay with their same format since they're set
Right.
up. But, you know, but there's 67 counties, 67 sheriffs in the state. So that still left about 60 or so.
Yeah, 59.
Yeah,
60.
you know, sheriffs that were still, you know, had the paper permit. One of the big things prior to was the cost of getting it done. But anyway, we discussed how we wanted it to look, what we wanted on it, and this also has to go through Secretary of State. A lot of people don't know that. It has to be approved through Secretary of State. But once we got it, the permit with all the information on it like we wanted it, then there are several different companies that carry the equipment, the software to produce the card. So then we went into negotiations with those different companies to get the best price.
Now, y'all did that as an association,
We
not
did.
just the Covenant County Sheriff's
Right, yeah.
Office.
Yeah, this was done throughout the state. The Sheriff's Association did this. And so, you know, we negotiated with different companies to get the best price. And so finally when you know, we made the deal with a particular company, then, you know, we started putting it in place. And of course, you know, you call them, set up a time and date, and I did that with the gentleman, and we have been producing these now for about 4 or 5 weeks, something like that.
It's the neatest thing in the world. When I went to see Sheriff Meeks about an appointment for this, I had to sit out in the lobby. I felt totally safe there, by the way. But they didn't tell me this was going on, but I noticed people get over there by the what is that, a service window or whatever you've
Right.
got, and they'd stand up and they'd look like this. There were people that were coming in to get their permits updated.
Right.
He's got the neatest thing in the world. You just go in there and stand by the service desk and turn up, and they'll say, "Look at the birdie," and they'll take your picture, and you know, then you get.
You almost don't even recognize the camera. It's so
Yeah,
small.
yeah, I mean, it's no bigger than that.
It's about the size of that card, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty neat the way they've done it. Y'all streamlined a lot of stuff.
Well, we're pretty proud of that.
We're about to leave here in a minute and go to the square for Blue Ribbon Day. If you'd like to say a minute, something about that, and then talk about what your plans for the future for the Sheriff's Office are.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
You know, and of course it is a election year, and I certainly hope that over the last 12 years that myself, along with the Sheriff's Office, has made an improvement that the county sees, and an improvement that you're proud of and that you like, and hopefully, you know, they'll see fit to let me continue to be sheriff, because there are several things that I want to do, but also, you know, the old saying, the only thing that remains constant is change.
Absolutely.
You know, so things are constantly changing and evolving, and you just have to stay up with it. And you can make plans, but you never know if those plans are gonna go through or not. One of the things that I really, I guess probably, if I'm fortunate enough to be reelected, one of the biggest things that I really want to work on, and before I ever leave office, you know, and I hope that's no time soon, but is I want to work with our county commission and with our school board to get more school resource officers in our schools, especially Strawn. You know, Strawn is
That's a big system anymore.
it's a large school, and it's in two separate buildings. So, you know, we need additional officers there. Also down in Lockhart, you know, you've got W.S. Harlan Elementary School in Lockhart, and then you've got the Florella High School in Florella. You know, and I've got a guy, you know, that's back and forth, you know, between those two schools and tries to take care of those schools. But that is something that I really want to get done, is get additional school resource officers in our schools.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
I would hope that anybody that's running for that office would have that as a goal, but I'm glad you've identified it. Another thing that I know that he's done is he's offered his services to these churches,
Right.
And these other public entities, but especially the churches, to go in. It doesn't matter if you're a big church or a small church, if you're interested or concerned about the security of your church and your congregation, just call him, and he'll get somebody dispatched to go and help you. They're very open about that, and I guess that's what you call community policing, but
Yeah, well, you call it whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you know, it's just another thing that we need to do, and that we offer, you know, any help that we can. You know, and you're talking about, you know, things that we want to do. Again, you know, you have plans, and you want to make plans, and you want to have goals to work toward. But I will say, and I'm certainly not making an excuse, because, you know, I've got our goals, the things that we want to do. But one thing that I would ask everybody to realize is that the county as a whole, and the sheriff's office in particular, we do have a budget. We was talking about budgets a while ago. You know, I have a certain budget that I have to work under, and then work within, and so we certainly try to do the best that we can with that budget. You know, I'm audited by the state, you know, periodically, and one of the things that I'm pretty proud of is after my last audit in 2016, the Andalusia Star News, you know, the headline on the paper was "Sheriff Earns Perfect Audit." So we were proud of that, because, you know, I don't spend money just crazy. You know, we have to stay within that budget, and a lot of things you have to prioritize. So, you know, I was just again, just to thank everybody for
Well,
what they do.
Dennis, we appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you.
You know, and it's no secret that on a personal basis, I like Dennis. As you know, I've known him for a while, but we have to do this as a part of what we're broadcasting. This is not an endorsement from this station or any of the people here, and we're not in Dennis's pocket or anybody else's pocket. We want to have the other candidates for sheriff on here, and we'll offer them the time to do what we've done with Sheriff Meeks today at the same cost, which is not a zero free. But you know, I really appreciate what you and your officers do
Thank you.
for us every day, and I appreciate what you did today in coming here. And thank you so much for the information, and know that you and pretty well anybody that's in law enforcement is welcome here, especially if you wanna talk or tell things about improvements in the community that you've
Absolutely.
got. Know that.
Thank you.
Dennis, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Good to see you.
All right, you too.